تقع إيرلندا في شمال غرب أوروبا، وقد تم اشتقاق اسمها من الكلمة الإيرلندية القديمة إيريو، وهو اسم الربة في الميثولوجيا الإيرلندية. شهدت هذه البلاد هجرات عديدة منذ قرون طويلة قبل الميلاد، وقد ترك أولئك المهاجرين بصماتهم على تاريخ إيرلندا القديم. أما في العصر الحديث فقد تأسست جمهورية إيرلندا عام 1937 للميلاد. وتشتهر إيرلندا بثقافتها الخاصة، لا سيما الموسيقى الإيرلندية. ورغم قلة عدد السكان فقد انتشرت الثقافة الإيرلندية في أوروبا والعالم، ويعود الفضل في ذلك إلى العديد من مشاهيرها من عظماء الأدب أمثال جورج برنارد شو وأوسكار وايلد وجورج باركلي وغيرهم من مشاهير الفن والموسيقى.
My name is Jerry Cunningham, and I have the privilege of being Ireland's latest ambassador to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I have been here for just over 4 months, 4 very enjoyable months. So far, it's been a very busy induction to the Kingdom. It's been particularly busy on the diplomatic side. We have some excellent colleagues. There are a large number of National Day and other events which give a great introduction to the international community, but also increasingly having time as a family to go out to meet Saudi families and hopefully to travel a lot more into the country. Many of my colleagues had given me ample warning, whether they had been here for 4 years or 2 weeks, to say, Jerry, you will absolutely love your time in Saudi Arabia. I also benefited from excellent hospitality from Saudi's ambassador in Dublin, His Excellency Nail Al-Jubair. They introduced me to Saudi coffee, to the Saudi dates. So even before I came here, I was well prepared for the hospitality. But I say no also because nothing can really prepare you for the scale and the diversity of Saudi Arabia. It's a country 30 times the size of Ireland. The hospitality, the generosity of the people since we have arrived here, the diversity of the countryside and of the many nationalities who live here in Saudi Arabia is something you can only truly appreciate when you're here on the ground. And indeed, I feel it will take me the best part of my 4 years to truly appreciate all the wonders of the Saudi Arabia. In the 4 months to date, we have spent a lot of time obviously here in Riyadh, but we have maximised every opportunity to get outside. We were fortunate to have in October a visit from our Minister for Transport to visit the airports where DAA International, an Irish company, are providing support. That was one of 2 visits to Jeddah. That one was for business. The second one was very much for pleasure, with a former member of staff getting married, which was a great introduction to the social side of life outside of Riyadh. Apart from that, it's been busy with my family, just visiting here recently for holidays with my children. My wife and I have had the opportunity to go out and experience desert camping, to trek out to the edge of the world, and to do some of the many tours here in Riyadh itself, such as going to Masmak Fort, so that we can better appreciate the history and the culture of Saudi Arabia as well. We estimate there are some 1,600 Irish citizens here in Saudi Arabia with a full Iqama. There will be many others who are here on business or tourist visas. That is quite a significant number. Just to put it in context, it's the 5th highest of the EU countries, only just behind other significant, much larger EU countries such as Germany, Italy or Spain. To put it in context, Ireland is 1% of the European Union population, but we're 8% of the European Union citizens here in Saudi Arabia. So we have quite a presence that is very helpful to the embassy in much of our work as well.
هناك مميزات معينة لإيرلندا في تعاملها مع المملكة وفي تعاملها مع العالم. الأول فيما يختص بأنها عضو من أعضاء الاتحاد الأوروبي، وهذا يجعل لها مكانة مهمة في اقتصاديات العالم وفي علاقاتها مع المملكة. وبالمناسبة يعني حجم التجارة بالنسبة لحجم إيرلندا واقتصادها حجم كبير يكاد يصل إلى 10 مليار ريال سنويا، وهذا موضوع مهم جدا في دولة عدد سكانها أقل من نصف سكان المملكة العربية السعودية، لكنها تتميز بالإضافة إلى كونها عضو في الاتحاد الأوروبي، تتميز بأن الناتج القومي لكل فرد من أفراد السكان في إيرلندا يكاد يكون 3 أضعاف الناتج القومي للمملكة العربية السعودية. مهمة الأخرى وهي قدم العلاقة بين المملكة وبين إيرلندا. الاتفاقية موقعة من عام 83، وأنا كنت من المساهمين في مساعدة أو دعم النشاط الإيرلندي الاقتصادي في المملكة العربية السعودية. كان واحد من أهم مشاريع الطفرة الأولى عام 83 يشير إلى الطفرة الأولى في المملكة، وكان هناك مجموعة من الشركات تعمل في الإيرلندية التي تعمل في المملكة. الجزئية الأخيرة هي تفاهم الحكومة والقطاع الخاص الإيرلندي لحاجات المملكة، اهتمامنا ليس فقط بالبيع والشراء والتصدير والاستيراد، ولكن كذلك إلى تنمية القوى العاملة ومساهمتهم في تعليم هؤلاء الشباب والشابات السعوديين، ولاحقا تدريبهم كذلك في الشركات الإيرلندية في إيرلندا.
We process in the region of 3,000 visas to travel to Ireland from Saudi citizens every year. This is excluding additional Saudi citizens who might travel from the UK or who might actually have a multi-entry visa to Ireland, which goes over many years. So it's a strong and a growing community in Ireland, and it's particularly prevalent for Saudis who come to Ireland to study, whether that's particularly in the area of the health sector, particularly with the Royal College of Surgeons in Dublin, but also many of the historic universities such as Trinity and many of the much newer universities which have a very strong traditions in research and links to the private sector as well.
إيرلندا لديها ميزة مهمة جدا وهي انتشار اللغة الإنجليزية. طبعا هم لديهم لغتهم اللغة الخاصة فيهم اللغة الإيرلندية، ولكن اللغة الإنجليزية هي المستخدمة أكثر هناك، وهذا عامل مهم جدا لجذب ليس فقط طلاب المبتعثين للدراسة البكالوريوس والماجستير والدكتوراه، ولكن لوجود مجموعة كبيرة من الجامعات العالية الاحترافية في إيرلندا، وحاجتنا نحن إلى تعليم طلابنا وطالباتنا. ولكني كذلك سأزيد في هذا القطاع موضوع التدريب. التدريب في إيرلندا موضوع جميل جدا ومهم، وهناك خبرات طويلة في هذا المجال، فلا يجب أن نقتصر ابتعاثنا لطلابنا على الدراسات الجامعية أو ما بعد الجامعية، ولكن كذلك في تدريب الطلبة والطالبات على مجموعة كبيرة من المهن التي يمكن أن تؤدي في نهاية الأمر إلى تنمية وتطوير القوى العاملة البشرية في المملكة العربية السعودية.
The embassy is fully committed at all times to maximising the links between Ireland and Saudi Arabia, and particularly those people-to-people links. The relations can only be described as excellent. We have very close and ongoing relations between my department, the Department of Foreign Affairs in Dublin, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here, and that extends at all levels. Our current Prime Minister visited here in November of last year, and a number of our other ministers over the last year and a half. And I would specify, while many of the ministers had a trade-related priority during their visit, our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Simon Coveney, came as we commenced our tenure on the UN Security Council. And his priority was very much to have the opportunity to speak to the Saudi government, to speak to his colleagues like His Excellency Minister Al-Jubeir, to understand Saudi's priorities that could inform our time on the Security Council, because many of the files we deal with are very close to Saudi, both geographically but also in terms of importance, whether that's the file on the Middle East peace process, on the situation in Syria, in Yemen, or the Iran file as well. So it was really helpful to understand not just Saudi's perspective, but the wider regional perspective on many of those. So that just gives you one glimpse into one aspect of the political relationship. Irish companies have a long history of investment here in Saudi Arabia, going back initially, traditionally, to I guess 2-3 key areas. That would be in the agriculture area, where Al Marai actually started. Its roots are in an Irish company called Mastock, and that with Irish support and Saudi leadership has now become one of the largest vertically integrated food companies in the world. The second area would be in the area of healthcare. Irish doctors and nurses have for many years worked here in Saudi Arabia, providing support to patients, and traditionally also very much in the area of engineering and construction. But as I say, the world is continually changing. Ireland as a country is changing just like Saudi is changing. So today we are seeing Irish companies much more interested in information communication technologies, in software, in financial technologies for the banking sector, and in other areas such as looking at the priority attached under Vision 2030 to Saudi Arabia's role as a regional hub, also in the area of aviation, where we have companies like DAA International actively investing and increasing their support in Saudi Arabia.
واحدة من أكبر الوفود قاطبة التي زارت المملكة خلال 10 سنوات الماضية، أكثر من 100 شركة في وفد واحد مع رئيس الجمهورية ورئيس الوزراء زاروا المملكة مؤخرا. الوفد هذا كان بترتيب من طبعا الجانب الأعمال هو ترتيب من مجلس الأعمال السعودي الإيرلندي واتحاد الغرف السعودية، وهذا يدللك إلى أي درجة هذه الهيئات مهمة في تفعيل التواصل وتفعيل النشاطات، والأمل يعني أن يساهم مباشرة في زيادة حجم التجارة والاستثمار بالمناسبة بين المملكة وإيرلندا، مع وجود عدد كبير جدا من الشركات الإيرلندية المستثمرة في المملكة. لجنة الصداقة البرلمانية السعودية الإيرلندية لها دور كبير في تنمية العلاقات الدبلوماسية والاقتصادية، وتلتقي يعني دوريا مع المسؤولين في السفارة الإيرلندية في الرياض، ومع السفير الإيرلندي في الرياض كذلك.
I think the most important factor to take account of with Vision 2030 is that it is Saudi's vision, and it is really for the people of Saudi Arabia. It's their opinion that really matters the most. That said, my understanding and everything I read is that it is a very popular and a very successful vision, and it is making a huge transformation both to the social and the economic life here in Saudi Arabia. So from the international perspective, there is a window of opportunity here as Saudi moves beyond being a traditional oil producer, now focusing much more on renewable energy and taking advantage of this window to really position Saudi as one of the leading economies in the world on a longer term sustainable basis. And the first major area of achievement I would highlight, and that certainly strikes most Irish people as they come to Saudi Arabia, is the change and the role of women in society. Not just to see women driving, but to see women now taking up important posts, whether it's in business or just this week in fact, we had the appointment of a female Saudi ambassador to the European Union, which is a massive step forward and something we are very, very pleased to see. The second area then is really the importance of this for the youth, because Saudi has such a youthful population with 50% under the age of 25. So the actions and the policies put in place by government today will really have a long-term impact on their lives. So from education, which has always been such a strong feature of the government's investment here, to the area of business promotion, the private sector, to the creation of new outlets for entertainment and travel. To me, those are two of the most defining features of Vision 2030, as well as many of the economic areas. Vision 2030 will, I think, transform the relationship with not just with Ireland, but many parts of the Western world. It displays Saudi Arabia as an economy, as a society which is rapidly changing, which is at the hub of the three major continents of Asia, Africa, and Europe. And it will, in many ways, challenge preconceptions and demonstrate Saudi Arabia as a business destination, as a tourist destination, and as a great place for people-to-people exchange. So already we are seeing Irish companies, Irish individuals look much more from other parts of the Gulf, now look much more towards Saudi Arabia. And we would just look at the investment by DAA International as one example of that. I mentioned the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, who have a campus in Bahrain, who are now looking very excitedly at the opportunities here in Saudi. And of course, many of the existing companies in engineering, in agriculture, food, will look to further strengthen their relationship here.
نحن نحتاج إلى أن نزيد تعريف الجهات الإيرلندية بالرؤية وبإمكانياتها وبمجالاتها. والواقع أن الرؤية ليست جامدة، الرؤية متطورة، الرؤية تتوسع، الرؤية تتزايد، فرصها تكبر. كثير من الدول كان عندها تشكيك في الرؤية ومدى يعني بإمكانية نجاحها، والآن نحتاج إلى أن نطلع ليس فقط إيرلندا ولكن بقية الدول على مستوى النجاح الذي تحقق فعلا على أرض الواقع في تنفيذ الرؤية وبرامجها ومبادراتها.
It's a very exciting time to be here. Saudi Arabia has such a rich history and heritage. Much of that is not well known outside the kingdom, so it is really fantastic to see, under the leadership of the Crown Prince, under Vision 2030, to see that being expanded to promote tourism outside of Saudi Arabia. What people can expect when they come here is, first of all, a fantastic people, fantastic welcome, a fantastic diversity of food and culture. And then I think, building on that, a rapidly changing scene within the country itself that combines both the best of the traditional Saudi and Islamic culture, but also is now increasingly adapting towards a new world and adapting to cinema, to drama, and to so many other entertainment centres. We have received so many invitations to new galleries that are opening that just gives you a small sense of the pace of change here in Saudi. Saudi Arabia has really benefited from the ambition of the Vision 2030. It is really now established not just as the key economic, political player here in the Gulf and the wider region, but even at a G20 or international level. We really recognise Saudi's important role to play in the world. At a time when the world has been set by so many challenges, whether that's been COVID-19, Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the ensuing economic difficulties across much of the world, Saudi Arabia has managed to overcome those difficulties so much better than so many other countries across the world. And this and its inherited advantages with a young population, with bringing women into the workforce, with the basis of natural resources for a strong economy as it transitions towards renewable energy, place Saudi Arabia in an enviable position to actually achieve the vast majority of all the ambition that's there in 2030 and to set Saudi Arabia up very well to go beyond.